I feel like over the past decade or so, it's been really easy to score free internet points by bashing the 9 to 5 corporate job. And I'm just sitting over here like, yo, I kind of like my job and it kind of feels wrong. And, the hate is rightfully so. I mean, for the most part, I've absolutely been there. This is my second 9 to 5 job I have now, and the one I had first, I really grew to not like it. So I feel like I've been on both sides. I really do enjoy my new job, and it just seems like an anomaly. But you know how the internet is. Like, the negativity is always going to be shown more than the positivity. Negativity gets more reaction out of us than positivity. And that's just how life goes in general. Like, when something goes right, like, that's how you expect it to go. So, like, why would there be a discussion about it versus when something goes wrong? We need to be all up in arms about it. These YouTube videos, the downfall of XYZ, they're huge. We complain about it to the people around us, and rightfully so. Again, like there's a lot of 9 to 5 jobs out there that are just not it. You go to college for 4 years, you pass your exams, you write your papers, you put yourself through debt, you go through the job hunt, which is sounds like a nightmare right now, and it's just like I put myself through all of this for what, you know? So I just want to talk about specific points that I appreciate about my current corporate job, because I would love to make this YouTube channel a positive vibe, and that might not get the most reactions or clicks or whatever, but it's how I kind of want to make an impact and kind of how I want to build up my voice. Um, so if anyone happens to be watching this right now, I really do hope you hear what I have to say, because I think the world in general needs this right now, specifically us working corporate jobs, because it's very easy, not to find the light. It's very easy to lose inspirations, to feel lost, to sort of not have your own identity. So I'm hoping if I talk about some things that I appreciate from my 9 to 5 jobs, that it would inspire and grow some hope. Um, so if you're someone that is working a 9 to 5, or maybe you're kind of heading down that path, I really do hope you hear what I have to say, because it's like anything, there's the good and the bad. There's good jobs and bad jobs in this corporate world. So the first thing, I really appreciate about my job is the connections. Like, I have met so many amazing, talented, hardworking, awesome people that I've met through working my job, and I just like can't imagine like my journey without them. Um, and as humans, we're social creatures, and when you sort of build up that network, it really builds yourself up, because you kind of become who you hang around with the most, and you're gonna be hanging around your corporate coworkers. That's kind of hard to say. The most. You're gonna be hanging around with your coworkers the most. Um, so, what I do is I'm very particular about who I associate myself with. My mindset is kind of be everyone's acquaintance, but choose your friends wisely. Basically, be friendly with everyone, but don't be everyone's friend, basically. Um, it's so inspirational to me when I have a career path in mind, and I'm an accountant, by the way. And I just see the people above me with their CPAs, they're certified, they're managerial positions, they got kids, they're at a high up position that I'm trying to work towards. They're getting very well compensated. They got the house, they got the personality, they got the talent. They're very smart people. And I look up to these people, and they have these desirable traits, and they achieve these things through their hard work and dedication to their job. And I see that sort of thing, and it gives me inspiration, and it shows me that it can be done. So I really try to take advantage of the people around me, picking their brains, getting to know them, whether it's someone in my position or someone above me or even someone below me. At this point in my life, I'm 30 years old. I've been 30 for about a month. And I'm not in the highest position in the company, but I'm certainly not in the lowest. I'm kind of right in the middle. So I really just try to absorb everyone's perspective and try to, be the person that can be relied on and find the people that I can rely on. And you just keep doing that and you just keep building connections. And it's just a very powerful thing when you have those network of people that make you feel confident and make you feel like I'm not in this alone. Um, it's just a very powerful thing when you can find people you can rely on and you just feel like you're in the trenches with them. You can go up to their desk and chop it up with them. You can have lunch with them. You can go on walks, happy hours, whatever it is you do. And I just, again, think that's so powerful. At the end of the day, you're not going to remember all the emails you sent, all the Excel sheets you open and close and send, all those random tasks that you do. You're not going to remember that. You're going to remember the people that you did it with. And I remember the people in my old job fondly. Like I may not see them for a couple years and then I end up hanging out with them or I end up seeing them and you start chopping it up like the good old days and you're just so happy to see them. And there's just nothing more exciting than seeing someone you genuinely care about, you know, living a great life, getting something positive. When the coworkers that I've come to know so well get promoted or they get recognized for their achievements, it is just so, so, so inspiring to me. And I just love being in that environment. And I think I found myself at a job that really cultivates that. And I just want to keep that going. And I want to be part of that myself. And I want to inspire the people around me because it's not just about the money. Obviously, compensation is a very big thing, and I'll talk about that later. But you need more than a single source of motivation. It can't just be about money. You will burn yourself out and not feel inspired if that's what it's all about. And I think that's just the problem with my generation. And when I say my generation, I mean people around my age and younger. Um, you know, Most of us, we go into college because that's what our parents wanted for us. And the reason why our parents wanted that for us is so we can get a good compensating job. That's clearly the most important thing, but it's not the only important thing. You know, you look at teachers, right? Teachers in America aren't getting paid well at all, yet they become teachers anyways. You know why? Because it's their purpose. They find deep meaning in it. They're fulfilling their purpose in life. Um, so yeah, when you're in that 9 to 5 environment, you got to find those people you rely on. Um, so you're not just a sad sack in your cubicle, just going in and punching numbers in Excel for 8 hours straight, and then you just leave for the day. That's not it, man. You're not gonna find inspiration and hope and energy from that. You got to peek your head up and chat with someone or have a meeting, have a one-on-one with someone that's really successful and just pick their brain. And if you find yourself successful at someone and someone points that out to you, encourage them what you did to get to that point and have them pick your brain. And when you get to that position, you feel really confident. Um, so yeah, I think the social aspect of a 9 to 5 is very understated, and it's something we need to take more advantage of. And we may not see the results of it immediately, but in the long run, more of us are going to end up in these leadership roles, the CEOs, the executives, us millennials, us Gen Zs or Gen Xs or whatever. I think when we kind of rise up through those ranks, these corporations are going to be less about profit and more about the experience, the people, and the purpose. The second thing is, it really puts me in the position to create my own initiatives. There are lots of programs at my company. There are networking programs, there are AI innovation programs, there are workshops, there are awards. There's plenty of events where you can mingle. Um, I've access to two different offices, one in the city, and that's great because I live in the city, but then our headquarters are out in the suburbs, and I take the train there, which I love. And that kind of creates a dynamic environment where I feel like I'm getting back what I put in, instead of just showing up and putting my head down for 8 hours doing meaningless tasks and then I just go home. Like that sounds awful. You're not going to get a great experience that way if you just focus on the task that's assigned to you. You have to take initiative. You have to be proactive. Um, those are the people that get promoted. The people that get the most out of this job are not just going to do what they're told. They are going to go above and beyond and create their own projects, identify issues, provide solutions. And the thing I like about this is that you get to end up doing things that you're excited about. If you're excited about AI innovation, you're going to have the platform to work on it. If I'm excited about networking, then I have these events um, that I get to go to, and I get to meet new people or catch up with people um, that I already know. There's clubs in my company. I think there's a running club and a book club, which I'm not a part of, but like that sounds great. Like there's a women's like rights organization and a multicultural organization, and they do events, and like they'll hand out free stuff, and there's like a pride organization, and they do their own thing. And I just think that's so amazing because those people get a platform which they can find people like them where that might have been a struggle in the past, and that's just so great to see. Like that just probably provides so much inspiration and hope and energy to them. So you sign up for these things, you meet like-minded people that are just looking to get their own out of all of this, and it's just a great thing to see. Um, you, you have to kind of have to be with the right company for this. Like there's companies that don't do these initiatives at all. You kind of have to be the company that's kind of proactively providing this. I think my job does a good job of collaborating and networking across different departments. Like I don't just know the people that are also accountants. I know people of all different departments, and this is great. You never know when a connection you made 5 years ago is going to help you get a better job or a better position in life. Um, so I pride myself on that, and it's something that I put a lot of effort in, and I do it proactively to get to know and network with people, and that's like my initiative. That's how I find like deeper purpose and when I go into work. Like it's like we can all work 40 hours a week, some of us even more. We can take 10, 15 minutes to chop it up with someone in the break room or at lunch. We can take an extra lunch. If we're working in the city office, let's go a little bit farther and check out that place we always wanted to check out. We can show up 2 to 3 minutes late in the meeting because we ran into someone and wanted to chat them up, and or we were really on a roll on a project that we were passionate about. Like if we're working on a process to make our coworkers' lives easier, we're figuring out a problem that's been held have had our team been held back for a long time, and we're finally figuring out, and you feel that value. You feel like you're providing value. I just got access to like a new AI software that not everyone has access to, and all I could think of is how can I make my coworkers' lives easier? That's what adds fuel to my fire. How can I make everyone's lives better? That's what keeps me going. And and that's what it's like to have a company that's gonna give you the space for initiatives instead of just doing your task all day. You got to get something out of this too, right? It's not just them getting your labor. You want to get compensation, you want to get growth, you want to get opportunities to meet people, you want to get opportunities to rise through the ranks, or maybe take 2 years at this position and then switch over a position at the same company where you're doing a different thing. Um, you got to get something out of it as well, right? That's kind of the deal. Otherwise, I'm just going to be the same person. I'm not going to be growing, and I'm not going to get better compensated because my skills aren't growing. And that's just really the mindset at the end of the day. I think as workers, we have more leverage than we think. At the end of the day, you just got to put a year in at a job. If you're unhappy, you really just got to put your time in, and you got to leverage that into a better paying, better positioning job. Um, the odds are that the first job you get out of college is going to be the one are slim, right? Like it can happen, but it's slim. And I think that's just something we need to realize at the 9 to 5. You're truly never stuck. You just have to put in your time and prove that you're not totally unreliable, and you can leverage that into a better job. If you network and find people above your position that really like you and you just work hard, it doesn't matter if you're not the best at your job. You can market yourself into a better job. You can use that reference to for your next company to confidently hire you. Um, I climbed just high enough at my old job, and I knew I didn't want to get any higher. But I built so many great connections there that I was able to find the job that I have now that I really, really like. And like I said, the odds that your first job is going to be the one that sticks are pretty slim. So it might have been good to get my foot in the door, but it wasn't good for me super long term. I was there for about 4 to 5 years. Um, and these companies that hire you straight out of college are taking a risk. So, you want to prove them right. You want to get that experience, but after a while, you may realize this isn't it, and you make a move. A job hunt is like a part-time job, but if you do it right and take your time and seek out the right opportunities, it's going to be worth it. It's going to give you inspiration to invest time in yourself that you could potentially become part of something even better. Um, so that's something I just really, really try to emphasize. Just I'm doing this for me. I'm working on it for me. Yeah, it's great if other people can benefit, but you got to look out for yourself. If you're not going to look out for yourself, then how can you look out for others or expect anyone to look out for you? Um, and just find your people. Who can I go to? What can I do? Question everything. Invest in yourself. And if you find your current job doesn't give you the opportunity to do that, then that just might not be the job for you, and that's okay. But you have to try for yourself. It's easy to just blame your company for all your problems, but you really have to take a hard look in the mirror and say, am I the problem? And of course, I'm not saying that all problems are our problems, but can they be our responsibilities and can we leverage that into something better? Um, there's a lot of corporations that are going to work us to the ground, but not all companies are doing that. There are good 9 to 5 jobs out there, and that's something we need to accept because otherwise we're just going to complain about 9 to 5 and it's just going to have this negative light on it. When in reality, there's good and bad, right? Like there's going to be a good one and a bad one. Like we just can't be like, oh, 9 to 5, it's bad. Like we can't be that ignorant. We have to be open-minded. We have to take initiatives on our lives. We need to find the control again. We are the workers. We make these companies run. We need to realize our own value and we need to uplift each other. So the third and final thing, and this one might be a little more open-ended, but it truly has elevated my lifestyle, my current job, and just working on my career. My dad was a construction worker and my mom was a teacher's assistant, and they just wanted me to get into college. And I knew at a young age I was particularly interested in businesses. Like I would look at a napkin and be like, what company out there is so passionate about napkins? They're making napkins, but of course you realize that's just a company trying to make money and realize people need napkins, so they're going to make it in the cheapest and most efficient way and get it to us, right? Um, so I kind of went through all the business schools my high school had to offer, and I realized I had good math skills, and I realized that accounting was a good path for me because it was kind of a two birds with one stone type thing where I was good at math, so the skills were there, but I also wanted to know about businesses and accounting. Like you see all the operations and you see all the info that a business relies on to run you know to run well. You see all the metrics and the data and the ratios that people need to determine if this company is successful or not. um, and I'll be frank, like at this point in my life, I'm 30 years old and I think I'm making more money than either of my parents did at any point. So that is a positive. You want your kids to be more successful than you, to go farther than you. That's the whole point, to raise them better than you. Um, and you want them at a certain point in life to just become their own person and give it their all and then the cycle continues. Like I hope when I have a kid, and I try to elevate them even more. You learn from your mistakes and you try to instill that into them and get them into an even higher position in life. And you just hope that's just what you hope for your kids, and they do the same. And that's just how we elevate as a society. Like, I'm just incredibly thankful for like I can afford the lifestyle that I want. I can go on some trips. I can afford a gym membership. I can afford the groceries for a healthy lifestyle. I can afford to go out with my friends. I can afford to go out with my girlfriend. I can take PTO, I can take sick days, I can take volunteer time off, which I try to take advantage of. It's August and I only got 4 hours left, so I'm super proud of that. I have this organization I volunteer for, and they're a great organization. They help feed less fortunate families in the city, and I just want to do my part there. Um, and I just know like my parents are super proud of me for taking what they gave me and running with it. And that's just something I try to not to forget, And the 9 to 5, some days are harder than others. So I just really try to not forget that and remember where I came from. And I dreamed of like being in this position. There's just the last thing you want to do is just go into your job and work. There's some days like that, but you just have to remember how far you came and how much my parents sacrificed to get me into this position, how much time and effort I put in to get here. Um, and it may not be the most ideal situation, but it's a situation. Odds are a 9 to 5 isn't the least ideal situation. So you're really just trying to get the most out of it. And I know that that's easier said than done. And there's no, you know, secret sauce or magic solution other than, you got to find the work that's valuable to you. I'm gonna make it worthwhile and just run with it. I'm very fortunate for my lifestyle. I live in a cool spot in the city. I got great friends. I can enjoy my hobbies. I love playing golf, love going to the gym and just going, being active and just exploring my city and going on trips. I can just enjoy myself. I feel like I'm not really limited. If there's something I want to do and, it comes down to finances, I feel like I can usually plan it out ahead of time and just save a little bit of money here and there and then just go enjoy myself. Whether it's a new skill, I had a personal trainer for a couple of years who really helped me get into better shape. I'm studying for my CPA and I was able to afford the program that everyone swears by. When a new game comes out, I'm really looking forward to it. I can pre-order it. I can just, get Pokemon packs when I can and just rip them. Like, when there's something I need at the apartment or I need something like in the kitchen, I can get a high quality product rather than just getting what's cheapest. And I just feel really confident in the lifestyle that I live. Um, I don't want to brag or anything. I just really want to put inspiration out there because I feel like there's just a lot of negativity out there in general, particularly in the 9 to 5 lifestyle. And I just really want our generation to have more hope, have more leaders, have more inspiration, and to want more for ourselves. So yeah, it's 7:30 a.m. right now. Like I'm probably gonna get ready for my job after this, and honestly, just speaking this out and hopefully hoping to reach some people. It's making me feel really good about the situation I am in. I just hope that we can start wanting better for ourselves, but not just that, but making the most of our situations. Um, I'll end with this. Studies have shown that our outlook on a situation affects our happiness more than the situation itself. So next time you're feeling hopeless at your 9 to 5, find any source of inspiration. Rather that's inviting a coworker to lunch, finding a project that's fun and you ask your manager to work on it, or, setting up a meeting with someone that inspires you and just picking their brain up and just seeing how they got to where they are. Um, and if you find yourself still unhappy, you have more leverage than you think, and you can find an organization that will value you. You just have to value yourself first. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I hope you found some of this insightful. Let me know if you think. If you happen to still be watching this, I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day, and just know you're here on this earth to provide value and build connections with those people around you. All right, peace out.